now. Everybody was in the waiting room, so can we?
Oh, okay. we were chatting among
We were
ourselves.
practicing. So it looks like everybody is in now. So let's
Okay, so
let's
I'm
start
gonna,
over again.
yeah. Hey, everybody. So we're just having some fun with technology. Unfortunately, I find myself playing Zoom hide and seek often and just trying to hit our record and let you guys in from the waiting room. That was a last minute change that we created the waiting room. So, all right, everyone. So we are going to start. I am Dr. Josephine Connolly Skonen. I am the director of our Stony Brook Nutrition Division, which I'll be explaining in a moment, as well as the director of our Dietetic Internship program. And I have some key people on who I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, and then we'll move along our slides. So Sharon, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Sharon Schmidt, and I am the administrator for the program. If you have any questions going forward, especially throughout the application process and then beyond, please feel free to call or email me. My contact information is on the website, and I'll help you guide through that process as much as I can. Thanks for joining us.
And Leah?
Lorraine?
Hi, everybody. My name is Leah Holbrook. I'm the Associate Director of the Graduate Nutrition Program and an ancient alumni of the internship myself. I'm looking forward to fielding any questions you have today. Nice to see you.
And Lorraine?
Hi, I'm Lorraine Danowski, and I'm the Associate Director of the Dietetic Internship Program here at Stony Brook. And I've been with the program for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I can answer almost any question you may have.
Okay, so you are looking at a picture of the Stony Brook Heights rooftop farm, which I think is at least about 10 years old now. So that's something that you get involved in as part of your public health rotation. One of the nice things during the first phase of COVID is that we donated our produce that we grew to some low-income communities that were really struggling with food insecurity. So it's just a great symbol of what we believe in as a food first and food for healing philosophy here at Stony Brook Medicine. Just love that picture. Okay, next slide. Thanks, Cher. So I'm going to explain a little bit just about our Stony Brook Nutrition Division because it is the basis for a very robust dietetic internship experience. I am in the center there, and I report both up to hospital administration on the left, as well as the School of Medicine academic side of our medical center, which does afford us a lot of resources and opportunities that we then bring to the internship. So our division has a few different arms. So they're in different colors on the bottom. So I'm going to just mention these. So all the way to the left, we have our inpatient clinical nutrition services department. There are 16 full-time RDs. We are a 604-bed hospital. However, for the last year or so, we've been hovering around and sometimes over 700. So at first it was due to the COVID patient population, but now it just seems that people really put off care for a long time. And we have just a lot of very sick patients that are in need of our services. So it's been a very, very busy 2 years. And our team has been here every day and working hard. We have our Women, Infant, and Child Supplemental Food Program that, again, during COVID and now has been an essential program for meeting people's needs for food and nutrition during the pandemic and after. We have a large program with 4 different offices. Lauren Brand is the director of that program. And we have a number of RDs, 7.3 FTEs, RDs, as well as some admins associated with that program. We have a public health nutrition program where we partner with various community agencies. Our farm is also considered part of that public health part of our division. In addition, you can see down here, Lorraine and I also maintain an outpatient practice, which I think is really important for you to know because we are teaching from current experience. So you will be working with us as interns in our outpatient clinic and really get to, and it just keeps us on our toes, right? That we have to stay up to date to provide the most evidence-based information to outpatients. So Lorraine and I both have some primary care, infant, geriatric practices, but Lorraine also provides the nutrition services for our ALS program, Lou Gehrig's disease, and we just started a women's GI clinic that is, I'm the RD for that quarterly, and Huntington disease clinic, which I'll be starting on Monday. So we're very active in the outpatient. I also oversee the inpatient team, so I dabble in there a bit. Then we have our graduate nutrition program. Leah mentioned she is the associate director for that program, and we have 7 adjuncts that teach in that. Most of them are our inpatient RDs and a few others. Satiri is a full-time, Dr. Satiri Everett is a full-time faculty member who also supports the master's program, and she also provides services, and increasingly so, with our sports teams across campus. So we now have a performance nutrition part of our division, and we partner with Stony Brook Athletics. Interns get involved with that as well. And to the right is what you guys are most interested in today, is our dietetic internship program. Lorraine is the associate director, and we have Kara Cohen and Anne Marie Ing, our other faculty members in that program. And we have 16 on-site seats and 30 distance DI seats. So that's a bit about our division. If you have questions, you can ask along the way. Just as an FYI, and we'll try to keep an eye on the chat. Okay, I'm gonna let Lorraine go now. Oh, I think, no, I'm sorry, it's my,
No,
let's
it's
see.
me.
No, it's you. Okay.
Okay, so what do you need to come to us? So our dietetic internship admission requirements are, we do a screen. So first line screen is the bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university. And we do like to see that you have a GPA of a 3.2 or above. You also need the declaration of the intent to complete the degree, or that you finished, you have a verification statement if you are a student who finished maybe last year. We do look at work and volunteer experience as we review your application. And we do a 3-person faculty member telephone interview. For us, that counts for a lot of points, probably more so than the volunteer and work experience and the personal statement that you write. We like to see that you can think on your feet. We give you, scenarios and questions, and that counts for a lot of points in our application process. You must complete all required didactic and undergraduate coursework before the start of our internship and or the fall semesters. You do not need GREs to apply to our program, but you do need a car. We're Eastern Suffolk County in New York, and within your day, you may travel from one site to another site, which is the outpatient rotation, which I precept and Josephine precepts in. The morning you may be at one location, in the afternoon you may be in another location. And as we said, our sites are 50 miles of radius around Stony Brook. So having a car, unlike some of the programs in the city, is something that's a requirement for our program.
Okay, and to piggyback off that, on our website, I created an application checklist, which I hope you find helpful. It's not required that you fill it out, but hopefully you'll find it to be a useful tool to making sure you are literally checking off the boxes you need to in order to successfully apply to ours and really any dietetic internship program. We, as you probably know, we also have a distance program. It's one in which you would have to find your own preceptors and sites outside of Suffolk County. If you are at all interested in that, we are having an open house immediately following this one that you can join us with, and we'll go over all the nitty-gritty on that. But if you are interested in applying to both programs, the good news is there's only one application fee for Stony Brook University, so you do not need to pay that particular fee twice. I can't speak to DICAS. I don't actually know how their fee structure is, but as far as so for DICAS, you'd have to pay whatever fees they require. But in addition to that, there is a Stony Brook application fee, which you can access via our website. But if you are applying to both programs, it's only that one $25 fee. The application requirements for the distance is very similar to the on-site. There are more requirements, though, for the distance, mainly finding your sites and filling out the required forms for that. And then to add to what Lorraine said, do take the time to fill out that application in full. Don't assume that the reviewer is just going to look at your resume. Fill it out, take the time. The more time you put into it, the better it's going to come out, and the overall outcome for you is going to be better. And so, for us, the application, I think it should be open now, but we'll start looking soon. And we review, the applications are due February 15th. We'll sit down at that point and look at our whole list of applicants, and from that determine who we're initially going to call. So we'll start making those phone calls for interviews February 16th, February 17th, and we'll be scheduling those right away. So just to give you an idea of when it would start on our end. So hopefully you'll get one of those phone calls from me. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions related to the application process? Okay, and feel free to type something in chat too if that's easier for you. Perfect.
Okay, so Sharon is absolutely right about the resume. Don't assume that we're going to go to the resume, and the resume also doesn't always give us an idea of whether you worked part-time or full-time. And we do try to take the time to go through everybody's application very carefully. So fill it out in its completeness as much as possible. Don't assume that, and refer to resume, because it doesn't give us the same level of detail that we need to actually fill everything out. So take the time to do it. Sharon's absolutely right. So now I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about options. So we do have most of our interns do the full-time option, which is 10 months, and you complete orientation, seminars, and rotations within 10 months. And we start usually the Tuesday after Labor Day, and we finish around mid-June, and that's with the program, but also 1 week of review. Because we didn't want to disqualify anybody who maybe had to work while they did their internship, we had a part-time option as well. And I have usually 2 spots available each year. I'm just trying to remember how that works. So then some years we will have, instead of 16, we may have 18 people still. They're finishing up while the other 16 are in full swing of their rotations. But this is important, and this is a A&D requirement that you have to finish your rotations within 2 years. Orientation and seminar are in year 1. So seminar days are Mondays. So you will complete a lot of the requirements on Mondays the first year. The second year, you could actually use Monday as a rotation day if your site let you. You must be duly matriculated in the SBU MS or have an MS degree to select the part-time option going forward, because we have to make sure that you have the master's if it's required by 2024 to take the RD exam. I think Josephine's saying something, but I can't hear her.
I'm sorry. So just to clarify this point, because we're in academic year 21-22, most of you are probably interested in 22-23. And in 22-23, we are not going to require that you do the master's with the internship. But for those of you that might not yet be seniors, if you're thinking about 23-24 academic year, then you have to either have a master's before you apply to us or most other programs, or apply to our master's and do the internship at the same time, because in the 23-24 academic year, you'll be taking your exam in 24 when you have to have the master's, and we're required to coordinate the master's and the DI. But for the upcoming year, if you're interested in 22-23, we are not requiring that you have the master's or that you matriculate in both.
I did make that distinction only, Josephine, for the part-time.
The part-time people.
Okay.
If they're not finished by 2024, they will need to have that master's.
So even if you start with us in this coming academic year 22-23, if you're part-time,
correct.
Thank you. Then you need to be considering this. But just as a point of distinction, when you're looking at other programs, the Academy or ASEND or CDR, the folks you have to take the exam with, are not requiring that you have the exam until 2024. So you might want to do that right now, but you don't have to put that pressure on yourself and try to do both at the same time. Or you may take a class or 2, like 1 per semester, maybe 1 before the internship starts in the summer, finish the internship, take your exam, because you still can in 23, go get a job, and the job might pay for the rest of your master's, or at least you're earning a salary at that point and can continue to pay, a few credits at a time or a few classes at a time, because you would have taken the exam already. So you could you don't have to finish your master's by 2024 if you've already taken the exam. So there's a lot for you guys to think about in terms of timing and the upcoming changes. But we decided not to put that pressure on interns who would be joining us full-time in 22, 23, because it's not necessary, right? So a lot of people have some financial issues. They may not want to pay for both at the same time, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something to be thinking about when what you think would work best for you when you're comparing different programs.
And again, Josephine, that's assuming that they do take the exam
In
by
23.
the end of those 6 months.
Yeah.
Earlier in the statement you just made, you said, I think just by accident, you said they won't require the exam before 24. But I think everybody on the call hopefully understood that she meant a master's. But I just want to reiterate, you do need the exam.
Thank you, Leah. Yes, you do need the exam.
Since this is being recorded, I just wanted to make that clear.
I appreciate that. Yes, you do need to. You need to take the exam to practice and to be an RD, but you don't need to have the master's to take the exam until January 24. Thank you. Okay. I think we beat this one to death. Okay. Next slide.
Next slide is internship rotations. So I'm very busy in the summer. I come up with 16 rotations sequences for each individual intern. It's not based on where you live. It's really, they're blank. We have no names on them. They're just a sequence of rotations. And we do testing during orientation to decide who would be a good fit at what location. So just to show you an example of what it looks like, you have 75 hours of orientation and seminar. Seminar goes throughout the year, and orientation is the first week or 2 weeks really that you're with us. It's boot camp. We do a lot of lectures. We do some introductory information. We teach you how to calculate parenteral and enteral nutrition. We teach you how to do meal plans, and we do some role playing, and it's very comprehensive. You have 21 weeks of clinical rotations, which includes 5-week outpatient rotation, and that you do between Josephine, myself, bariatric, surgery RDs, the World Trade Center RDs,
Peds, GI, endo, diabetes.
GI, a lot of different, every day is a different experience for you. You have 11 weeks of inpatient nutrition therapy at Stony Brook Medicine and also other affiliated hospitals. And the last week is usually staff relief. So not everyone does their full nutrition therapy rotation at Stony Brook, but everyone does at least some weeks here with us. We have a 4-week long-term care clinical rotation in a nursing home or rehab setting. We have a longitudinal research rotation seminar that we do roughly 2 Mondays a month. So it's either seminar that you come here for on Mondays, or we do research seminar on the other Mondays, so that you're completing throughout the course of the internship. You do get 1 week of a virtual renal rotation. And then from there, we have 5 weeks of public health nutrition, and that includes 1 day a week of that at a WIC location. We have 7 weeks of food service. So you do 4 weeks at an institutional food service, which is pretty exciting this year because we started the ITSE guidelines and putting those into place in the institutional food service world. And then you also do 3 weeks at school food service, where you get to see more what the director does, some profit and loss type of things, because it's driven by their budget and what the kids will eat, along with introducing some other health initiatives there. I'd like to give you a 3-week elective rotation. So that is something that you get to pick an area of specialty. We don't have a lot of competencies tied to it because we want you to just enjoy being with someone else for 3 weeks, seeing their counseling style, if you pick that, seeing a food bank, seeing a wide variety of things. So we don't have a lot tied to that, but we do want you to set some goals, and it's a good experience. And then we finish up with the registration examination review class that I spend a lot of time going through with the A&D requirements. You know, we go over PowerPoints, we go over things you learned undergraduate, go over things you learned in the internship. I teach you again how to calculate enteral and parenteral nutrition in case it was a while since you did it. And we do practice questions. So, and we give you a database of questions when you leave so you can practice on your own. So this is the internship in a nutshell, and there's a lot more to it, but this just gives you an overview of what kind of types of things you'll be doing there.
Does anybody have any questions about the rotations before we leave this slide that you'd like to ask? Anything you're curious about?
And not everyone's going to do their inpatient at the same time. So while some will start off in outpatient, some will start off in food service, everybody's rotations are different. You know, I do have people paired occasionally to go to certain specific places, but everyone in the internship, when they start after the 2 weeks of orientation, will be going to a different location for the most part.
I have a question about the rotations.
Mhm.
So I saw on your website that some of the previous interns were able to do their elective rotation at a NICU. And I was wondering if there are any other opportunities throughout the internship to gain experience in that type of nutrition, like neonatal or prenatal.
Okay, so the neonatal rotation is a lot of calculations, and it's a lot of TPN and enteral feedings for the babies. So that you have to have your inpatient rotation done first. You wouldn't get very much out of it if you didn't do that first. It is very intense, and I try to make it, if you really want that kind of experience, I do try to make it work, but you really do have to do your inpatient. So if you're someone who does the inpatient at the very end of your schedule, it's kind of unlikely I can make that happen, but I do try. I also sometimes try to pair that rotation with some other pediatric GI things, because there are more jobs in pediatric GI clinics and things like that. So you have a more varied experience.
And also you spend time with our WIC program. So we
Yeah.
consider that though more community public health. So it's actually wrapped into the public health nutrition rotation, but you can do it as an elective too, if you want to do more with maternal
Breastfeeding.
and child nutrition or infant nutrition up until the age of 5. Kids can be in the WIC program. The NICU is those little tiny premature babies and very specialized. I think we have 60 bassinets in our NICU and 2 RDs that cover that. So we'll help you tease that out in terms of and combine some potential different pieces of maternal and
I
child
do like
nutrition.
a lot of, I call them hybrid, but we do, if you really have an interest in more than one area, I try to make it so that you can maybe do both of a little bit of both.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are welcome, Jessica. Anybody else? Okay. All right, next slide then.
Shall I take this one?
Yes, please, Leah.
Okay, so a little bit about the master. So I think we we did cover the timing on this. Our masters that you can apply for, and the process of applying is made somewhat simpler by the fact if you were in our internship, there is a little bit of a less paperwork involved to the application process. The master's is 36 credits. It is fully online and it is predominantly asynchronous. So while you're in a course, with all of our other students, there's mainly the ability to be flexible within each week's chunk of time with how you organize your time and when you get your assignments done within generally about a 7-day stretch of time as the semester progresses. Okay, so it does work really well for interns or for working professionals once you're done with the internship, because you're not required to get on at a certain time of day, so your work schedule and other responsibilities can kind of work around your course commitments. There is occasionally synchronous sessions, meaning you're all on at the same time, but oftentimes it's rare and it's often voluntary, prep for a quiz, a Q&A type situation, extra help. So there are opportunities, but for the most part, it can work with a busy student or working professional. The program, I think on the next slide, we talk a little bit about the concentration. So let me just mention a few other additional general statements. We use a learning management system right now called Blackboard. Some of you might be familiar with that. We are moving to a different learning management system, likely in 2023. So that component of it is somewhat in transition, but we work really hard to make the course experience consistent and seamless as far as the course is being set up similarly, so you're not spending a lot of time kind of learning a new dashboard and things like that. So I think you'll find that to be really well done and efficient for you. Many of our adjuncts, as Josephine said, do work inpatient here or within the Stony Brook organization. So for example, for our communication and counseling course, we have a PhD psychologist who works in the bariatric program, co-teach that class. So we pull from many different areas of the university, as well as even out of the state. We have an excellent RD who works in integrative nutrition full-time out of Arizona. So she teaches one of the key courses in one of the concentrations, which I'll explain a bit more in a minute. So yeah, our 2 concentrations. So the way the program works is it's 36 credits, 12 courses. Those 12 courses, if you opt for one of our 2 specialized concentrations, are broken down into 7 core courses, 3 concentration courses, and 2 elective options. So that equals your 12. The concentration courses are advanced nutrition therapy and critical care, or integrative nutrition therapy. And as a DI candidate, you would qualify for either one of those choices. Not every incoming student does. It depends on the coursework that they've done prior, but you guys would all have the opportunity to choose between those. Or you could do a third option, which we call the generalist option, which again is a little more general. Most DI students do not opt for that. They go for one of these concentrations. And there are some benefits to being duly matriculated in the master's and the DI. I believe that's on the next slide, or in the next star. Oh, so first, do know that for Stony Brook students, so if you're apply to the master's and you are in our master's and you successfully take 6 credits, and then you were to apply for the dietetic internship after that, and you have an undergraduate GPA of 3.2 or higher, you would automatically be granted an interview for the internship. So not a seat, but it does get you over that first hurdle and into a internship interview spot. Okay, so that's great, because for some students, if they don't match their first year and they're going to look to take some master's classes in the interim, or they're delaying getting into the DI for whatever reason, this is a good opportunity to consider. And by the way, if you are not in the Stony Brook DI moving forward, this master's is still an option for you. So do keep it in mind and let your friends know if you're looking for a master's that won't tie you down to a specific location during and after the internship. This is a great opportunity. If you want to move for a job opportunity or family responsibilities, you can continue your graduate work post DI without any concerns about where you might be living. Okay, and yeah, thanks, Sharon. Okay, so there are some benefits to being duly matriculated. So what I'm about to share, it does require you to be duly matriculated. So in the master's and the DI at the same time. We have Stony Brook DI students who come into the internship already in the master's, so they apply for summer or fall admission. So when they arrive here for the internship, they are already in the master's, and I could talk a little bit about what kinds of course loads they take. And then we have other students who start in the DI and then apply for a spring matriculation to the master's. So the fall, they're just an intern, and then in spring, they're duly matriculated. Either of those situations work to benefit from what I'm about to share. So there are basically 3 courses or 9 credits in which you would benefit from being duly matriculated. The first one is HFN 580, which is typically taken toward the end of your time in a master's. So if you're not in an internship and you're just in our master's, you would take this toward the end, and it would serve as sort of a capstone course. You can do a clinical paper, you can do a CQI project, you can do a practicum. But in the case of being a duly matriculated student, what you would do is you would actually take this course in your last semester. So as an intern, it would be in your spring semester, and you would be utilizing one of 3 modules, so the assignments that go with your rotations, to satisfy the course. So you'd still enroll in the course, you would still pay for the credit, but it would not be any additional work. You would be using one of your module assignment packages to submit to satisfy the requirements for this course. So that's a real benefit. Even if somebody is in our master's but takes just this class while they're an intern, you're still graduating with those 3 credits under your belt without the additional stress of a graduate course while you're in your rotations. The second benefit is in a course that is set up to serve as one of your selectives. So what you would do in that situation is you would finished the internship, and your verification statement indicating that you successfully completed the DI would serve as your sort of proof that you can challenge out of this 583 course, which you would then again get the credits for based on the competencies that you met during the DI year. In this situation, you don't pay for the credits. So when you challenge a course, you pay a challenge fee, which right now is about $200, and you would get those 3 credits, but not pay the tuition. So in that case, you're saving on time and quite a bit of money. Okay. And then the third option has to do with a research literature class that you will have another opportunity to challenge out of based on some of the work that you do in the research rotation during the DI year. So you essentially have the potential for 9 credits that you're getting the chance to get because you're duly matriculated. 6 of which you're only paying a challenge fee, and 3 of which you're actually paying tuition. So that's a really big benefit. So again, going through this process as a duly matriculated student, you have 9 credits under your belt without any of that additional real graduate work yet, because we do feel that the work you're doing in the internship is so valuable and does meet a lot of the course objectives of the courses that I just laid out. So you would have 1 less selective and 2 less core courses, bringing your course load down from 12 to 9 is how you should sort of think about it. And as far as course load, we have students who will take 1 class while they're an intern. Some take 2. It's pretty rare. I think they feel that with the internship responsibilities and an additional 2 graduate courses, it can be very challenging to do well in that circumstance. But for example, in the spring, when you might be taking 580 and there's no really additional effort, many students will tack on sort of a real class to that scenario because it's only going to feel like 3 credits. So there's a lot of ways you can do this. But if you want to benefit from this situation as a Stony Brook intern, you can, and you can just take the courses I mentioned and no additional courses until, like Josephine alluded to, you're past the exam and you're employed. So there's no need to feel as though you need to fund a full master's degree experience while you're an intern. Certainly not. And I could talk to any of you individually if you wanted to hash out a little more, or I could reiterate what I meant, because I know it can be confusing.
Any questions at all? Because this is something, again, that when you're looking at different programs, every program is going to be doing this a little bit different in terms of required courses you may have to take, or challenging out, or using internship work. So any questions at all? This is a lot to take in.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Sure.
So I am thinking about applying for the master's at the same time as the internship program. Should I apply for both by February 15th, or should I what would you think is best? Do you think I should wait a semester, maybe enroll in the summer or the fall if I'm thinking about doing the master's program?
So the deadline is not the same. So the deadline for summer admission, I believe, is Sharon, April 1?
It's by design, it's early April, right after match day. So it's because some people do like to factor in whether they matched with Stony Brook, that they want to do the master's here. So it's early, I want to say April 7th or so.
That's right. So, you have the option of applying by that date and being a fully matriculated student in summer, if that's what you would like. Your other option is to take summer courses as a non-matric student, if you'd like to get some credits out of the way, and then apply for fall admission. So you have a lot of options there. Even if you don't make the April 7th deadline and you're going to say apply for fall admission, there are ways to take classes in the summer, which is a great way to get, some courses out of the way before you even start the DI.
But just to be honest, Maya, we don't look at who's applying to the master's when we're considering our DI candidates. Well, we would love you all to take our master's. It's not a factor yet. You're not even a student yet. I can assure you, if you get into the DI, you're almost assuredly going to get into the master's. I don't think I've ever seen a case where that didn't happen. Certainly the opposite, but it's not something we even look at. So don't rush to fill out the master's application before you submit your DICAS application. But if you do submit the DICAS application and do apply to Stony Brook University, keep in mind, and this is good for 2 years, If you decide, a year from now, 2 years, I want to start that master's at Stony Brook, I can use pieces of your DICAS application as long as it's within 2 years. So I will not need new letters of recommendation. I will not need a new personal statement. As long as you applied to Stony Brook on DICAS, you don't need to be a DI for that. As long as I have access basically to your DICAS application, then I can use those pieces in your master's application. Just reach out to me. Saves you a couple steps. We'll still need transcripts and all that, but just a little bit of a perk for you.
And if I could just make one more point, I just want to reiterate, make sure that it's clear that to benefit from what I just laid out, the latest you can matriculate is the spring semester, January of your DI year.
Okay. We'll go over all this again at orientation because it is a lot.
Or you can, as Leah mentioned,
Email it.
reach out to Leah and go through your individual situation.
No, yes, I am a student at SUNY Oneonta, and they have the combined master's and internship program, and all of my peers are going to do that program. It's interesting to see like how they'll take their time and just be able to do both. So, but thank you for your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you're welcome. And like when you were asking, if you're interested in knowing what your projected graduation date would be for the master's, if you were to say start classes in the summer, I can work, if you want to talk with me offline, you can call or email me and I can show you what a sample plan might look like.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to do that after. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions about masters, credits, classes, anything along those lines? Okay. All right, next slide. So what are some highlights of our dietetic internship program? So the option, but not the requirement to complete a master's is, I think, one of our big highlights. You can start with the internship, a little bit before the internship, in the middle of the internship. So there's lots of flexibility depending on your desire to take courses while you're doing rotations, financial considerations, etc. So very flexible in regards to that. With our outpatient rotation, it's really quite robust, and you get to spend time with lots of different RDs working in different settings, which gives you a good feel for what you might like and what kind of environment you want to practice in. So I mentioned Lorraine and I both have different clinics that we provide the nutrition therapy for, whether it be family medicine, GI, ALS, etc. And in that case, we're working with a team of physicians, and it's a physician-based practice. GI is similar. Our endocrinology is similar, the bariatric program. So you'll get to just experience a lot of different outpatient settings. And I think that's a growing area for employment. We have an integrative nutrition therapy perspective, myself, especially in the GI work that I do with the GI docs. We do a lot of specialized elimination diets, antimicrobial herbs, work to improve gut health, which then helps the liver and the pancreas. So that's also a fascinating field, growing and very popular. So you'll get some exposure to that. Our internship, as I mentioned early on, is housed in this very big, robust, multifaceted division. So even though you may not see every RD, some of the WIC RDs work in different clinics, etc. They are all informing our curriculum, our case studies, our modules, the rotations. Various RDs will give talks during orientation or seminar or review week. Research opportunities is something that are growing. Lorraine and I are doing more research with the Cancer Center and a researcher over there, feeding studies. We're creating a metabolic kitchen. We did our first feeding study about a year ago, right before COVID started. So it's just a very dynamic, diverse place. You get exposed to a lot. But I do always say, and I remind the interns when they're here, you really have to like that. You have to like a fast-paced environment where you're meeting lots of people and you're going to lots of different places. It's a good fit for some people, maybe not everybody. We have our Stony Brook Heights rooftop farm. So you'll spend some time during public health going out, planning. what we're going to grow, growing the seedlings in the greenhouse, walking across campus to water them, planting them, putting mulch down, weeding. It's a few hours, it's not days and days of that. But it's a great experience. And then when we donate the produce, it's just a fabulous thing. So that we think is a highlight. We have some unique opportunities for training here in our medical center, specifically a skills center, which is used by the physicians and many different disciplines. So we can simulate different scenarios and you practice providing the nutrition therapy. There's a actor who's trained and plays the part of a patient, and you get to do that in the beginning of the internship. And you get videotaped. The actor gives you feedback from the patient perspective. Lorraine or some of the other faculty members will give you feedback, and you can view it. You do review it yourself. And then at the end of the internship, you do it again. And you can really see the growth in your skills in providing nutrition therapy. So that's a great experience. We have very robust CQI projects and research projects that you get involved in. So you'll really learn about IRB and research if you're interested in that, or if that's not your passion. Every facility, every nutrition department has to do CQI projects. So you'll learn how to do very robust CQI projects, which leads to very impressive PowerPoint presentations at the end, which we have you put in your professional portfolio for interviews later on, or to demonstrate your work and your skills. You have access to our library system, e-journals and e-databases. I know there's a lot available online right now, but there are some databases that are free, that you have to pay exorbitant fees to have access to, so that it's free. And through the Stony Brook system, there's also a wide variety of software programs that you have access to. And as I mentioned, what got cut off a little bit on the bottom is this fast-paced, dynamic, and diverse experience. So but there was an intern here doing something else today, but I said, we're having a hospital nutrition committee meeting, which is a multidisciplinary team with a SICU physician, a GI, peds physician, pharmacist, etc. So she was working on something else, but I said, just pop into this meeting with me. It's kind of interesting. So she, popped into that meeting with me. So it's just a lot going on, a lot to take advantage of. We have grand rounds on Wednesdays. There's, so many different talks, and lots on Zoom now too. So, you can just listen to a lot of really great research and things that are going on. Okay, next.
So Stony Brook University is among the top in the country. We like to brag about our accomplishments. As a university hospital, we're among the 100 best hospitals nationwide by health grades for cardiac care, coronary intervention, and stroke care. Our clinical outcomes are in the top 2% in the nation. We have multidisciplinary teams that the dietitian, speech language pathologist, so you get to work with a lot of different people on some of these teams that are mentioned here, especially stroke. Stony Brook has been ranked in the 50 public health national universities by U.S. News and World Report. We've been among the top 1,500 teaching hospitals in the country, again, something we're very proud of. We attract more than twice the research funding of all of the colleges and universities on Long Island, Brooklyn, and Queens. And so being here is a very dynamic experience. You get to see all different things across Nichols Road is our university setting. There's a lot of research and things going on there as well. On the hospital side of the Nichols Road, there's also the Health Science Center, and we do have a lot of research, animal and human research going on our side as well.
Here's a picture of our website. Hopefully you guys have been there already. If not, check it out. Lots of information on there, answer a lot of your questions, and all of our contact information is there as well. The URL is at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any follow-up questions to this session. And lastly, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Not Twitter, Instagram. My son, who's in college, makes fun of me because we don't have any followers, so I need friends. But it's fun, especially the rooftop.
We have some.
We have some, yeah, but not enough. I'm not that desperate, but yes, I am. The Stony Brook Heights Rooftop Farm, they put out some really cute, funny videos, so check them out at the least, and it really gives you an idea of what we do with our rooftop farm. And then the internship Facebook and Instagram pages are informative and gives you a lot of a little bit of the flavor of the internship itself. So check us out and follow us. All right, Lorraine, you want to introduce?
Well, Lorraine is just going to queue up some interns that I believe are on hand, right, to answer questions.
They are. I'm going
Any
to stop sharing my screen.
other questions for faculty? Because then we are going to head out and allow you to ask questions of the students without us listening. But if there are any less than top secret questions that you want to ask any of the faculty, let us know.
Okay, so I have with us is Kelly Taylor, who is our current intern with us. She just completed her inpatient nutrition rotation here at Stony Brook. And Jennifer's signing on right now, who also, that was in a situation where they were paired together and they did inpatient, started together, and they can answer any questions you have about thus far in the internship. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly Taylor and Jennifer Trubig. And like I said, we'll be not here. Josephine said we won't be listening in the background. You can ask about workload and